there everyone, it's Bren here and welcome back to my garden vlog where I post a video every Friday, and it's filmed here in my cottage garden in New South Wales. It's about an hour's drive outside of Sydney, and if you've just stumbled across my channel and you're new, please consider subscribing. I'd absolutely love your support so I can continue to do this. Before we get into this week's video, I have a bit of news to share with you. We finally got some much needed rain. It was so wonderful. I think it came on Saturday and we got about 18 millimeters here where I live. But even better than that, I saw on the news that the rain actually reached more rural areas, so it got to some of the farmers. Unfortunately, it didn't get to the areas that needed the most, but you know what, it just brings hope to people, doesn't it? And just being able to see their joy in the footage on the news stories and seeing baby animals who had never experienced rain before, it was really heartwarming. And let's just cross our fingers that there's lots more to come. Well, speaking of the drought, I am so conscious of it now in my garden, but we do have this wonderful local service where I live. It's a local community nursery and they provide 5 free native plants every quarter. Sorry, it's a bit windy, my hair's going everywhere. Every quarter, and I went a couple of weeks ago and I collected my plants, and I'm going to show you them and have a little chat about the service provided. And then I'm also going to collect a few seeds and I'm going to show you some more areas that I've planted up. So lots going on and I'm looking forward to showing it all to you now, so let's get straight into the video. I've said it before and I'll say it again, you just can't beat the rainwater in the garden. Look how lovely and green and lush it looks here, and lots of flowers. Here's some calendulas. I do need to do a bit of deadheading. And here's some lamb's ears that are putting out some fresh shoots, and there's a lovely flower bud there. It won't be long until they're blooming. And beside these plants I have this little combination going on. You have the white flowers of a Queen Anne's lace that's flopped over on top of this salvia, which is called a hot lip salvia. It has lovely dainty pink and white flowers, and it's just a nice combination with the big blooms of the Queen Anne's lace. Really lovely. It wasn't planned out to be this way, but it turned out well. And here is a figoa plant which I purchased a few years ago. It's put on a lot of growth since then. I bought it because I had tried the fruit for the first time back then and I was just blown away with its flavour and its fragrance. It's just so unique. So I'm really hoping this year that I get some fruit that I can harvest and show you. I had to pop back in these lovely nasturtium flowers under the orange tree. I mean, look at that, just a burst of colour. It brings a big smile to my face every time I look at it. I'm back over where the poppies are, because I noticed that some of the seed pods are starting to go brown. Just over here you'll see a few of them, and I'm going to pick one off. This one over here looks good, and I'll have a closer look now, and you can see that the top has formed a few openings, so I'm going to go and just tip it over on its side and shake out some of the seeds, and you get hundreds of them from one pod. It's incredible. You can also crush this pod as well to release more seeds, and I love to scatter them around the garden, but I will also save some in envelopes to sow in autumn. And in this part of the garden I have some more seeds to save, and it'll be down over here. I've got a patch of straw flowers which you can see here. I've really enjoyed these flowers this springtime, but it is time now to save some seeds, and you can see there, when they're ready, the kind of flower gets fluffy. I don't know the exact name, and at the end at the bottom you can see all those little black seeds, and I'll gather up some of them, but for today these ones I'll just scatter back on the ground, and hopefully I'll see some fresh flowers maybe in autumn time, or maybe even now over the summer period. Here's another patch of flowers that just popped up. These are my amaranths, Love Lies Bleeding, which I sowed last year. Wasn't even in this area, so I don't know how they got over here, but a very welcome surprise. And what I might do is I might dig some of these up and pot them up and transfer them elsewhere in the garden. By next week I'm really hoping to show you this area all planted up, but for the moment there is a lovely Australian native in here that I want to show you. It's this flowering plant which is called, there you go, I'm not going to try and pronounce it, and I put it in as a tube stock back in autumn time. It's putting on a lot of growth. I'm really pleased that I put it in the garden. You may remember at the beginning of the video I spoke briefly about a wonderful local community service. It's actually run by our local council, and what it is that you get given a voucher every quarter, every 3 months, and you can go down and pick 5 free plants. These are all native plants, most of which are locally native plants which have been propagated by a group of volunteers, which do an amazing job. And it's just so satisfying knowing that you're involved in increasing natural flora in the area. And here you can see they all come in tube stocks, and look at that root system. I am a huge fan of these tube stocks because they establish so quickly. But let me show you some other plants I got over the years. Here's one of my favourites that I ever got from them. This is, I'll put the name up on the screen, it's called a Gardenia ovata, and it takes a little while to establish, but oh my goodness, look at this display of flowers, and it goes on for months and months. And then another one that I really like are these little dainty daisy flowers, Braxicomb. I'll put the proper name up on the screen also. And then, you know, you can't not have some lovely Australian native pig face, especially when they flower. They're just spectacular. I'm over here in the back garden near the Dahlia patch, and they've grown a lot, and I'm happy to report that my Dahlia dosing sign seems to be holding up. I did use some blue tack to attach some of the letters, but you know, it's working, so that's all right. And look at all those fresh shoots. I learned a tip last year with dahlias. You should snip off the top, which will encourage the side shoots to grow nice and strong. You can see some there, and it will give you nicer, longer stems. Over here beside the raised garden beds, do you remember that patch where I had the brassicas? It's all cleared out now, and I've amended the soil and I've planted it up this week. So in between those 2 bamboo stakes I have some sweet corn, and all along the edge here I put in some little tiny cosmos plants. I also managed to fit in a couple of okra plants, the red burgundy varieties. I hope they've got enough space there, but we'll see how we go. And then behind that area I put in some lavender, a Shasta daisy, a veronica, an evening primrose, lots of different plants in here. I put some cosmos in as well, and I have some gladioli. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that turns out now in a few months' time. I hope it will look nice and colourful. But let's have a look over here, because I've got even more cornflowers blooming. Cornflowers are actually an edible flower, and what I love to do is I pick off the petals, and they look really nice on top of cupcakes or cakes. You can even add them into salads for that unusual pop of blue colour. I don't think I've shown you this area yet. This is where I had my West Indian gherkins growing last year. And you can see there's a few mounds. I'm going to point to each mound and pop the name up on the screen. So I've managed to fit a lot more plants in it this year. A nice mixture of zucchinis, watermelons, rock melons and pumpkins, and all I need to do now is put down a layer of cardboard and mulch to suppress any weeds or grass. And if we take a closer look, one of the plants here seems quite happy. I sowed these seeds in pots and then I transferred them into the ground. So I cannot wait to harvest this one. Over here in this part of the garden, I put in some bunny tail grass. It's my first year growing this grass. I saw the packet of seeds in my local shop and I thought it looked so pretty. And the thing that really attracted me to growing this grass, well, there's a couple of reasons. Firstly, because of how sensory it is, especially with me having 3 children, and they love coming out here and brushing their hands through this. And the other reason is, just look at it when it dries, it's so pretty. I'm going to gather up all of these when the plant's dry and I'll make a nice flower arrangement. Well, back over in this part, there's my little bee hotel. It's time for me to head off for this week. Thank you so much for watching, and if you've got any questions, just put them down in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you all again next Friday.